I'm just going to level with everyone here. I didn't like Nintendo's digital event at E3 this year. I was pretty disappointed by what they showed. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't record this right after viewing the presentation because I was pretty pissed. But I got out of the house for a while to go about the rest of my day. I came back a few hours later to sit down and start working on this video. And I'm going to say this. I don't think this was Nintendo's absolute worst presentation they've ever done. I think people are overreacting just a little bit. I mean, most of the anger and salt is justified. But I don't think this was the absolute worst they've ever done. I'm not saying it was good. It was pretty bad, sure. I'm not going to defend Nintendo on this one because they made a ton of stupid mistakes that I didn't like. But this did not compare to something like E3 2008. That was embarrassing. This was just underwhelming at best. Heavy emphasis on underwhelming. When I really think about what I saw from Nintendo today, I'm more confused and worried instead of angry. Most people are probably still angry, and rightfully so. But I'm just confused more than anything. I don't get you, Nintendo. I just don't. Why does it always seem like you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back with literally everything you do? Your games, your amiibo, your consoles, everything. You're always taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Why is it just as easy to hate you as it is to love you? Why do we have to have this love-hate relationship with you, Nintendo? I don't understand that. How can you give us exactly what we want in one instance, and then you're just completely tone-deaf doing your own thing in another? How do you just flip-flop like this so easily? I'm asking questions like this because that's all this presentation felt like to me. I honestly wonder what you were thinking because you just seem to be hitting all of the wrong notes the entire way through. As someone who grew up with Nintendo and has loved them, this was painful to watch. It really was. And not in the same way as E3 2008, but just because there were so many glaringly wrong decisions that you made here, Nintendo. You keep making these idiotic business decisions, and it blows my mind that you never get past this. You keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and yet you don't seem to care at all. You never seem to change. And it pains me to say this because I love you, Nintendo. I don't like to talk trash about you. I don't want to. But this, what you did at E3 this year was just terrible. I'm probably going to get some hate for bashing on everything you did today. But I just have to say this because it's how I really feel. It's what I feel needs to be said about you. And I'm hoping more people are going to call you out for this because this was not okay what you did. And I think people are going to call you out on this because you angered so many people. This was just terrible. I think pretty much everyone, the majority, is agreeing that you sucked at E3 this year. You lost E3, if that's really a competition. But we don't need to get into that. But it's unanimous that you did not win. You lost this year, Nintendo. You sucked at this. I didn't like the digital event at all. I'm so surprised that they could do this terrible of a job, especially compared to last year's. Oh my god, last year they knocked it out of the park. They did so much right. It seemed like Nintendo could do no wrong last year. But this year, what happened? What happened in the marketing or the planning or the shift in management or whatever? What changed over the course of a year? What caused this drastically different, bizarre business direction that you seem to be going in, Nintendo? What happened? Where are you going? I mean, you started off so great with Star Fox. Star Fox Zero, by far the best thing they showed at E3 this year. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was exactly what I wanted to see from Star Fox at E3 this year. The game looks beautiful. It looks fun. All the vehicles look awesome. I love how they brought back that Robo Walker concept thing from Star Fox 2. Absolutely love that. The game is shaping up to look excellent, and it's not even close to being done if it's coming out this holiday season. I mean, it's probably going to look even better the next time we see it. I know some people are complaining about the graphics right now. I don't really see it because I'm not a graphics person, but I think it's only beginning. I think from the time that they've had to develop it for what they have so far, it looks great, and it's only going to continue to look better from here. I have so much hope for Star Fox, and I'm glad I have reason to. I wanted this game to succeed, and I think right now it's shaping up to look excellent. I really hope it sells well. I hope a lot of people buy it. I hope this demonstrates to Nintendo that there is interest in Star Fox, and that the series deserves to have more love and to have more games than it's been currently getting. I don't want this to just be a one-time scenario and then Star Fox goes back into hiding. I want this game to succeed. I want Star Fox to come back into, the realm of relevancy. I want to see more Star Fox games. And really, this was the best way to start off. I mean, really, this was just brilliant. And even before that, with the whole puppet skits thing, that was phenomenal. It was hilarious. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I mean, it fits in perfectly with the whole goofy Nintendo charm humor thing that they've been doing. The way they make fun of themselves recently, I love that. This fit in perfectly. I don't know if it quite stacks up to the Robot Chicken stuff from last year, but either way, this worked. It was great stuff. I wonder what they're going to do for next year. I'm kind of hoping they'll do, South Park or something. Oh my god, I would love if they did South Park, but we'll see. We've still got 364 days until then. But anyways, I know I say this all the time after there's an announcement that comes out that really excites me. I keep saying, oh my god, I'm so done. I could stop watching right after this. I'm satisfied. I should just stop watching right now. But looking back, I literally should have stopped watching after Star Fox, because that was literally the only highlight from the show. Everything else after that just didn't stack up to that. It was all downhill after that. And I should have stopped. I should have listened to my instinct and just stopped after that, because it wasn't worth watching after Star Fox was done. That was literally it. I mean, after Star Fox, we either got just games that we've already known about for at least 2 years, and we got very little news about them that was, actually new or substantial or worth the time they took to mention it. And if it wasn't games like that, we got new game announcements that were, to be frank, not at all what we wanted from these franchises. So let me go over some of the things they talked about, and I'll give my thoughts on each one. Okay, Skylanders. They announced that Donkey Kong and Bowser are going to get exclusive amiibo figures in the Wii U version of the game. I have zero interest in Skylanders, but I will not lie. That Bowser amiibo is bad-ass, and I want it. I want it so badly. I mean, the Warhammer and the armor, and just, yes, I want it. He looks awesome. I just have to have him. Or at least I did, until I found out that it's apparently going to be bundled with the game itself exclusively. Suddenly, as cool as the thing is, it's not worth $90 to me. But that's not really the digital event's fault. They didn't mention any of this during the Direct, so I'm getting sidetracked. I don't think they should have spent as much time on Skylanders as they did when all they really had to announce was the Bowser and DK amiibo. That's it. That's all they showed. But I will give them points for making me want a third Bowser amiibo to add to my collection. Props for that. Zelda Triforce Heroes. You guys know I'm not a big Zelda fan, so this one really doesn't appeal to me. But out of all the new games announced, this one seems, for lack of a better phrase, the least offensive of the upcoming titles. It has this costume gimmick with 3 links, but it's whatever. It's obviously just being made to hold the fans over until Zelda Wii U is finished next year. There's nothing glaringly wrong with it. There's nothing about it that's upsetting the Zelda fans yet, from what I can tell. But it's just not my kind of game, so this was just another announcement that kind of went over my head. But compared to the rest of Nintendo's E3 showing, aside from Star Fox, this one really wasn't that bad, and it shouldn't be getting much flack because it really isn't doing anything wrong. And I think people are kind of overlooking it just because it got this small little section. There really wasn't much to it, but, if we're trying to look on the bright side, at least this Zelda game wasn't as bad. Zelda wasn't offensive this time around. And it's really kind of sad because while Zelda wasn't offensive, the announcement that came soon after that, on the other hand, pretty much was. Oh my god. Metroid Prime Federation Force. It looks to be this little 4-player co-op shooter thing for the 3DS that's a spin-off in the Prime series with this blast ball soccer-like multiplayer mode. And here's how I look at it. It's not the concept of the game that bothers me. I don't have a problem with this blast ball stuff. It's the fact that this does not look like a Metroid game at all. I was watching this and I could not tell that this was a Metroid game until the logo popped up. I don't think anyone else reacted any differently. I think that's how everybody felt. They thought this was some new little mini IP or something, and then boom, they saw Metroid, and they're like, what? How is this a Metroid game? I mean, that's how I was feeling, and from the reactions I've seen so far, that's how a lot of people seem to be feeling about this. I mean, Samus wasn't there, there were no familiar locations or music or enemies, there was nothing. Nothing about this little trailer we saw screamed that this was Metroid. And I mean, I'm not a hardcore Metroid fan. I've been getting into the Metroid Prime trilogy and I'm really enjoying it, but I wouldn't call myself a hardcore Metroid fan yet. But here's the problem with this game, and I think this is why people are as angry towards this title as they are. Nintendo, unlike Mario or Kirby or Pokemon or whatever, Metroid is not one of those franchises that you can just mess around with so easily. You can't just make a spin-off game about whatever, slap the Metroid brand on it, and expect everyone to just accept it. Mario and the other Nintendo properties get away with it because those franchises are more versatile. Metroid is not. It has a very specific formula, very specific atmosphere and mechanics and traditions to it. It has a very dark and serious and really somewhat mature tone to it. And you can't mess with that stuff. That's exactly what you did here. And this is why the Metroid fans hate this game so much, is because this is not a Metroid game to us. You tried to pass this game off as something that it just isn't, or at the very least, it does not look the part. I can almost guarantee that if this game did not have Metroid slapped on it, it would not be getting nearly as much hate and backlash as it currently is. If Nintendo tried to sell this game as a new little mini IP or something original for the eShop, instead of associating this with a very prominent franchise that has very specific standards to meet, then maybe this wouldn't have over 22,000 dislikes and counting at the time of this recording. It's probably going to have like 30,000 by the time this video is finished. I don't know, but that's you're definitely doing something wrong here, Nintendo, when it has that kind of a dislike ratio. See, it's games like this one that make us fans feel like Nintendo doesn't understand what we want to see from these franchises. Metroid is a very touchy subject because each new game in the series has certain expectations to live up to. But this game didn't even try to meet any of those expectations at all. Every year, every time E3 rolls around, all the Metroid fans are just begging and hoping and predicting for a new Metroid game to be announced. Retro Studios coming out and announcing Metroid Prime 4, or a remake of Super Metroid, or any other previous game in the series. And it's going to be on Wii U, or 3DS, or whatever. Every single year, it's the same thing. And every single year, we never get a new Metroid game. And this time, we got a Metroid game, but it doesn't even look remotely close to a Metroid game. After all these years of waiting, this is really the best you can do, Nintendo? Really? This basic little spin-off that doesn't even look remotely close to a Metroid game? This is a slap in the face to Metroid fans, and if I were a hardcore Metroid fan, I would probably be a lot more angry about this than I actually sound. I can't really sound that angry about it because I'm not that big of a Metroid fan, but even as one who is, fairly new to the franchise, even I can see the problems with this game. It's just that obvious. It's so obvious I can't believe you, Nintendo, could look at this and say that it was okay to make something like this and have it shown at E3. I can't believe that you thought this was okay. I mean, this is downright disrespectful. And we all know you can do better than this, Nintendo. We know you can. If you can give Star Fox this kind of love, why can't you give Metroid the same kind of treatment? Why can't you treat Metroid as well as you've treated Star Fox this year, like you just did? Now, does what little footage we have here of Federation Force prove it's a bad game? No, of course not. It's way too early to tell how the game is actually going to turn out. I mean, it could be a great game in its own right when it's released. But that's not the point. It's what this game attempts to represent that is causing such an uproar with the community. And the worst part is that this game isn't even an isolated incident. Nintendo did this more than once over the course of the digital event, and that's really fucking scary. That they thought this was okay, and they thought it was okay to do this more than once. That really scares me. And if Metroid Federation Force wasn't bad enough, we have Exhibit B, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Animal Crossing is a series I know a lot of people want to see on Wii U. So do I, for that matter. I had a lot of fun with New Leaf, but I would love to play Animal Crossing from the comfort of my own home with better online features. We got an Animal Crossing on the Wii U, but like Metroid, it wasn't the game we wanted. Not by a long shot. In fact, it was so far off that it was downright offensive to the Animal Crossing fans. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is essentially a Mario Party clone, but without any of the fun of Mario Party and all of the bullshit of Mario Party 10's Amiibo Party mode. This game only exists to push an Animal Crossing line of Amiibo, because Nintendo knows that Amiibo are currently selling like crack. But here's where I can see this game falling apart. Amiibo are required to even play this game at all. Unlike Mario Party 10, this is not just one mode. This is the entire game from what we can tell so far. So if you don't have any of the Animal Crossing Amiibo, this game is literally a waste of money. And you might very well not have any of the Animal Crossing Amiibo for this game if Nintendo's stock for these things turns out to be just as piss poor as it is for the other lines of Amiibo currently available. The Smash Bros. Line is impossible to collect right now unless you're camping out at stores on the night before release, because Nintendo does not produce anywhere near enough of these things. If that is an indication of things to come, this game is doomed from the start. If Nintendo can actually manufacture enough of these things, like they did for the Super Mario Amiibo, then I think this game could sell okay. You know, it's Animal Crossing, it's Mario Party, it appeals to the casuals, it has Amiibo, it's all that good jazz. But if the Amiibo aren't there, if these guys are just as rare as the Smash Bros. Characters are, this game is going to bomb hard. Mark my words, if the Amiibo are not well stocked, this game is not going to succeed. Because from what we can tell so far, if you don't have the Amiibo for this game, you cannot play it. And that is a big mistake. In fact, I probably will make a video talking about Amiibo itself, because it seems like Amiibo has influenced this entire Nintendo Direct presentation, and it's taken Nintendo in directions I don't think any of us like. I think it's taking Nintendo to a terrible place, and I might have to address that in a separate video. But for the sake of this video, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is offensive in all kinds of ways. Not just because of the fact that it's not the Animal Crossing game that the Animal Crossing fans want, but also because it is taking Amiibo in a terrible direction. It is relying way too heavily on Amiibo, and if the Amiibo situation is not fixed, this game is not going to succeed. But regardless of that, Animal Crossing fans are pissed off because this is not what they had in mind when they said that Animal Crossing was going to be on the Wii U. When we think of Animal Crossing on the Wii U, we do not want a fucking Mario Party clone. I don't understand where Nintendo got this idea that this is what we wanted. I don't understand how they thought this was okay when wanting just a standard Animal Crossing on Wii U. They fucking teased it before we even saw what this game was. We saw Isabelle on the gamepad. We were like, oh shit, it's Animal Crossing, the gamepad, Wii U, it's coming. Holy shit, get hyped. And then as soon as you saw those motherfucking spaces, all hype just was dead right there, because we knew exactly what it was, and we were pissed because this is not what we want. And I don't know how Nintendo could think that this is what we want. I don't even know who they're fucking appealing this game to anymore, because it's the hardcore fans that are buying all the Amiibo, not the casuals. So I could just see people just buying the Amiibos or scalping them up unless Nintendo can fix the Amiibo problem and not even touching this game. I don't understand how Nintendo could have thought that this was a good idea. I just don't. I mean, this is just Exhibit B. Like I said before, it's Exhibit B of them giving the name drop that we want, but not the game that we want after Metroid. And finally, we have Exhibit C, which, granted, is offensive to a much lesser extent, Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Now, I say to a lesser extent because, unlike Metroid and Animal Crossing, this game is nowhere near as offensive as those two. It's nowhere near as poorly received right now as the previous two games I mentioned, and for good reason. It's a crossover between Mario & Luigi and Paper Mario, and it already looks leagues better than Sticker Star in concept alone. But I am so conflicted with this game. I legitimately do not know how to feel about this game. I just don't. Everyone seems to want it, and everyone seems to like it, and that's okay. I'm not saying that's the problem, but I feel like I'm the only one who really does not like this. I mean, I'm not trying to sound entitled or whiny or hip, or really, I'm not trying to be one of those people that we all know and hate. But this just bothers me because a lot of people are down with this crossover. I can understand why. Good for them. It's a pretty cool idea. You know, you're taking the two Mario RPGs and you're merging them together. That's a pretty cool idea. I can understand why people are excited for this. Good for them. For me personally, though, this is not the game I want. I want a Paper Mario for Wii U. I don't think this is bad, but it's not the Paper Mario game I want. I've made it perfectly clear what I want from Paper Mario, what I want from the series, and this game just isn't it from what I can tell. I'd rather see this on the Wii U. This game isn't what I'm wanting. I mean, I'm not trying to sound whiny here. I'm really not. This game is not bad, and if you are excited for it, please be excited for it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's as good as you want it to be. But this just isn't what I want. I mean, I just look at this and the entire time I'm thinking, this is just a Mario and Luigi game and they're using Paper Mario as a gimmick and that's not what I want. I don't want them to use Paper Mario as the gimmick of this game, just like how the babies were the gimmick in the Partners in Time and then Bowser was, much less to extent, a gimmick in Bowser's Inside Story, and then the Dream thing was the gimmick, and now it just feels like Paper Mario is the next gimmick, and I don't like that. I want Paper Mario to have its own game, and I'm kind of worried because I don't, it's too early to assume this, but I can't help but feel that they just don't know what to do with Paper Mario anymore. They don't know what to do to make a good Paper Mario game after Sticker Star, so they're just kind of hoping to piggy bank off of Mario and Luigi. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about that. But I just don't know at this point. I just don't feel confident about this game right now. You have every right to. If you are excited for it, good for you. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't be excited for this, but it's just me personally. I'm so conflicted about this game. I don't know how to feel about it. I really don't. It's not as bad as Federation Force or Amiibo Festival, but I just feel kind of betrayed because this is the name drop for me. This is the Paper Mario game. If you could have told me Paper Mario got announced at E3 this year without any context, I would have been so hyped. I would have jizzed as much as I did for Star Fox. But then I see this and I'm like, no, this is not the Paper Mario I want. I can't support this game as of this moment. That could change, but as of this moment, I just can't buy it. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on the game. Again, I'm going to say this as many times as I need to until people understand how I'm feeling. I'm just going to speak with my wallet, and that's it. I'm just not going to get it. Again, I'm not saying it's bad and that you shouldn't be excited for it or any of that nonsense. There's nothing glaringly wrong with it. I'm sure it'll turn out just fine. And if you're excited for it, please be excited for it with all of your heart. Enjoy it. I hope it's as good as you want it to be. But for me personally, this is just not the Paper Mario I want, so I'm disappointed by it. And I'm just going to have to wait until the one I want is made, and that could never happen. It probably won't happen at this point, judging by what Nintendo thinks we want as opposed to what we actually do. And like I said before, I'm upset that we got a Paper Mario game announced at E3, but once again, it was not the game we wanted, or at least not the one I wanted anyways. I probably came off really bitchy and spoiled and entitled and all that. I don't mean to, and I apologize for that, but this is just how I honestly feel. I'm so conflicted about this game. And in a little ways, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed by this. But do you see the patterns yet where I'm going with all of this? Nintendo is just giving us the names we want and the franchises we want to see, but they showed off games that are so far off and so out of touch with what the fans want that I'm just so baffled by this. I'm so baffled by these decisions, and I'm curious as to what exactly is going on over there at Nintendo for them to think that this presentation was okay. I mean, I hate the very idea that Nintendo could come out and say that this was a good E3, that this was a good lineup, that they're happy, that they're content with what they showed us, because this is not what we wanted. I hate that they could come out and say that they technically did show the names that we wanted to see, and they're right. They did show us a Star Fox and a Zelda and a Metroid and a Paper Mario and an Animal Crossing. But with the latter half of that list especially, these weren't the games we wanted. They felt like such massive troll moves that were taken way too far. Like, it just feels so much like they're teasing us and holding back the games we really want to see and giving us these little appetizers for the franchise while they're working on the real games. And you don't do that, Nintendo. You don't do that at E3 if that is the case. At E3, you're supposed to pull out all the stops, show us all the big games that you've got planned, not these little bits and pieces that aren't even really that satisfying to us. I'm just so conflicted. I don't understand how they could do this to us. I mean, you just don't do this at E3, Nintendo. You just don't. And I thought you would have learned this by now. E3 is where you're supposed to pull out all the stops. And if you're holding any bigger games back, then this was the wrong move to do that. Because hardly any of the stuff that you actually showed us was E3 material. Most of these announcements could have been saved for a smaller direct. And it really just depresses me that you had such an underwhelming lineup set up for the rest of the year and for next year. I mean, this out-of-touch behavior that Nintendo is doing just does not make any sense to me in the slightest. I just don't understand how they can miss the mark so badly and multiple times in this presentation when they handled Smash Brothers just fine. I mean, the Smash Direct on Sunday was absolutely on point. I mean, with the exception of that asshole who leaked the Roy and Ryu DLC stuff the day before, besides that, the presentation was spot on. We had 3 DLC characters, 3 DLC stages, tons of new Mii costumes, all of which were available the day of the Direct. And then there was more Amiibo news, we got our first update on the tournament mode since the 50-Fact Direct, and now we know that it is coming in August, and we're getting the ability to upload replays straight to YouTube. I'm not even speaking in coherent sentences anymore because they did such a good job with Smash Brothers. So why couldn't they do a good job with the digital event? Why are the two so different? I mean, God, Sakurai knows what the fans want. He knows exactly what to give us, when to give it to us, and how much of it to give us at a time. He's not perfect, but Sakurai comes so much closer than the rest of Nintendo. And he develops games for Nintendo. So, where I'm going with all of this is that I don't understand how Sakurai seems to be listening to the fans and showing us that he has at least some clue what we want when it comes to Smash Brothers, and yet nobody else at Nintendo can seem to do the same when it comes to just about anything else. Why does Nintendo only seem to listen to the fans when it comes to Smash Brothers, but then they just choose to do their own thing when it comes to literally any other franchise? And if Nintendo is not intentionally doing this, then they just fucked up big time, because that sure as hell is how they presented themselves today. And getting off of that huge-ass tangent, there were some other titles that I wanted to touch on. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. I don't see why we need another Mario Tennis game when we already have one on the 3DS. I think they should have picked another sport, but whatever. I think this game is getting unfairly hated on just because Nintendo fans are salty towards Nintendo right now. I don't feel like this game has done anything wrong, but it really hasn't done anything that right either. It really doesn't do a whole lot to redeem Nintendo's presentation. It really doesn't. I mean, I feel like a lot of people forget about this game because it just really kind of slipped under the radar. I don't see why this was in the digital event presentation when it could have just been one of those other games that they announced over the course of E3. This game really did not do anything to fix anything that Nintendo did today. And then aside from that, we had Xenoblade Chronicles X. That got a release date, and that's about it. Fire Emblem Fate got a 2016 release date, and that's about it. Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem got a trailer that really showed absolutely nothing new, and that's about it. And not only did we already know about all of these games, but very little new stuff was actually shown about them. So then I ask, what was the point of including these games when the release dates could have just been given to us at literally any other time during the year? And then we have Yoshi's Woolly World. Look, I love this game. I am hyped to the heavens and back for it. It looks adorable and creative, and I absolutely want it now. I gotta have one of those Yoshi Yarn Amiibo, but I am getting really fucking tired of seeing this game. I'm just being flat out honest. I mean, this part of the show just dragged on and on for way too long. I feel so bad because I was not listening to anything at all that Chick was saying. I was just thinking, why the hell are they focusing so much about this game? Why are they still talking about it, even though we've known about this game for, 2 years now? they're still talking about this game and it still isn't out yet. This was painful to watch. This was one of those painful moments because this felt like pure filler. There was no reason for them to spend as much time as they did on Yoshi's Woolly World. And I don't know why they devoted so much time to this game as they did. And if that wasn't bad enough, it also really pisses me off that North America isn't getting Yoshi's Woolly World until October. I don't know why the hell they need so much extra time for this game when it's releasing in other countries so much earlier. I seriously doubt there's that much text that needs to be translated. Seriously doubt that this game needs that much localization. I mean, this isn't a fucking RPG. I don't know how much more they could possibly polish the graphics. I know they're trying to make the game look good, but I don't know how much better they can make it look. I don't know. I don't understand this. I don't know what they're trying to do with Yoshi's Woolly World at this point. But this release date and the fact that they spent so much time on this game when they really did not need to, none of that really does much to fix my current mood towards Nintendo. It's sad because I was looking forward to Yoshi's Woolly World. I still kind of am, but if they keep showing it off, and they don't show anything new for it, then it's gonna really quickly kill my hype for it, and I don't want that because I really want this game. I want to look forward to it, but oh my god, they've just been dragging on with this game for too long, and I'm just getting frankly tired of seeing it, and that's really sad. But it's just how I feel. Let's see what's next. Earthbound Beginnings. This technically wasn't announced in the Direct, but I actually think it should have been. I mean, bringing over and translating one of the older Earthbound games is actually pretty big news for the Earthbound fans. I mean, it's baby steps towards getting Mother 3. Baby steps. But I think Nintendo underestimates how much people like Earthbound. And that wouldn't surprise me, given how clueless Nintendo has proven themselves to be today. I wouldn't be surprised. I just felt like this was a pretty positive announcement, and I felt like it should have been part of the digital event. But it wasn't, but I still felt like it deserved to be mentioned. That's why I'm mentioning it now. And then finally, we have Super Mario Maker. And I've got a bit of a rant with this one. Hell, this whole thing has been a rant, so whatever. Look, Mario Maker is not a bad game. It's cool. It's a Mario level creator. I'm not that creative when it comes to these kinds of games, but even then, I could play other people's levels. That's fine. It has all these little bells and whistles that they talked about, and I think Nintendo was just trying to capitalize on this game being the pure essence of Mario platforming, and that's all well and good. But I have to ask this. Nintendo, is this really all you have to offer for Mario's 30th anniversary? 30 years. 30 goddamn years Mario has been around. That's a pretty big fucking deal. Mario is the face of your company. Mr. Video Game himself, Mario helped pioneer the NES and bring gaming back into glory. You milk him year after year with platforming games, party games, RPGs, sports games, kart racing games, etc. Mario does so much for you, Nintendo. And yet all he gets for his 30th anniversary is just Mario Maker? Really? Zelda gets a fucking live orchestra for its 25th anniversary that is so beautiful it moved fans to tears. And yet all Mario gets is a level creator simulator? That's it? Again, I'm not trying to knock Mario Maker itself. I'm sure it's going to be a fun game. But you really, really should have followed that up with an even bigger title. You should not have dedicated as much time as you did to Mario Maker, especially after how prominent it was at the Nintendo World Championships. There was no reason for you to go on and on with it as long as you did here. And Mario really deserves a much bigger and better tribute than what could essentially be condensed down into an eShop title or an app. I mean, the entire time I was watching this part, I was just sitting there thinking, come on, you've got to have something bigger than this. There's got to be something else, anything else. I was expecting something big, not only to pay real tribute to Mario, but also to make up for the rest of this abysmal presentation. But we never got it. Nope, there was no big new game that they were saving for last. There was no Sunshine HD, no Mario Galaxy 3, no teaser as to what the next 3D Mario game is going to be. Nothing. Just Mario Maker. And that's it. That's all Mario's getting for his 30th anniversary. I mean, not to mention the way you ended the digital event. Dear God, that was painful. We should have gotten some massively huge and insane game reveal, as I just mentioned. But no. Instead, what did we get? A fucking montage of YouTube videos with people playing the Mario theme on instruments and with other noises and objects. And what the fuck was that? What was that? all we got was that was it? A fucking clip show? That's what Nintendo feels is good enough to celebrate their flagship franchise being around for 30 years? I mean, this is arguably as bad as the Nintendo Land fireworks. I thought you would have learned from that. I thought you knew better after that shit. But I guess not. I guess you didn't. I guess you thought that it was really okay to do something like that again. I just can't even think straight anymore. I can't even, excuse Nintendo by thinking I might have had my hopes too high for E3 because I really didn't, honestly. I mean, I didn't know what to expect from Nintendo at E3 this year. I mean, Smash Brothers is already out. We knew Zelda Wii U wasn't going to be shown this year, so we knew Star Fox was going to be there, and it was great, but we knew it was coming. I didn't know what to expect from the surprises. I had some general ideas for announcements I wanted to see, but really, I was just along for the ride. And the ride sucked. Hard. I mean, we got some of the game announcements we wanted. We got Metroid and Animal Crossing and Paper Mario. But they weren't at all what we wanted them to be. Nintendo, I don't have the slightest clue what you're doing anymore. If this is really all you want for the immediate future of your company, I worry for you after today. I'm actually really pretty depressed because they mentioned the NX already. I mean, we knew it's coming eventually, and I'd be willing to bet that we'll hear about it more at E3 next year. Maybe we might not get an official unveiling of the console by then, but I'm guessing we're going to hear some substantial news. The Wii U is getting phased out. Nintendo, your next home console is coming. That means the Wii U is on a clock. It's on a deadline. You have a certain amount of time to get some more AAA games out there for the system, and so far you're squandering that. After the performance you gave today, I'm convinced that you've just given up all hope and have stopped trying with the Wii U. And that's tragic because this thing was marketed terribly. It had one of the stupidest names of any video game console I've ever seen, and yet it has some of the best games I've played in years. I've had so much more fun with the Wii U than I ever had with the original Wii. I mean, there are just so many good games. I mean, there's Smash Wii U, probably my favorite installment of Smash Brothers, period. And it's not even because of it being the most recent one. This game has so much content packed into it and has so much polish and love in it that it's going to be hard to top with Smash Brothers 5 when that comes in like 6 to 8 years from now. Mario Kart 8, one of the most gorgeous looking games on the system, and it has DLC done right. It set the bar for how that kind of stuff should be done, and more companies should follow Nintendo's example after this game. Super Mario 3D World blew my expectations completely out of the water. Splatoon, probably the most popular new IP Nintendo has introduced in years. It's addictive and fun as hell to play. And then there's still Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors, and later Yoshi's Woolly World and Star Fox Zero. The Wii U has so many quality games that are worth playing, that are worth buying the system for. And yet it just feels like Nintendo never put any of the work into marketing this thing correctly. And now it's just tanking, it's bombing, it's falling apart, and they've just thrown in the towel with it. It's so tragic. It's like the GameCube had a better reputation than the Wii U, and that was one of Nintendo's worst selling consoles. I want to play my Wii U even more, Nintendo. I want to keep supporting it all the way through to the end, but you're just not giving us enough content for it. You're not giving us enough reason to care for it because you clearly don't care for it enough anymore. I mean, you haven't been caring about this thing since it first came out. So the point I'm trying to make here is, why should I believe the NX is going to be any better than the Wii U? Please, why should I have any hope for the NX after the way you've been treating the Wii U? I'm so scared for the future of Nintendo now. I'm terrified after today. I mean, the Wii U is not going to be putting them out of business, but if they market the NX just as poorly, then that might be enough to put Nintendo under. I really hate to say that. I really hate to be one of those people that's saying, oh, Nintendo is doomed, oh, doom and gloom, this and that. I really don't want to be one of those people, but the Wii U is failing. Nintendo doesn't seem to care anymore, and I don't see any reason why the NX isn't just going to be a repeat of that. Why should I believe that they're going to put that much more effort into it when they didn't care about the Wii U at all? And they can't afford to do that. They can't afford to screw up with the NX because they can afford to take a loss with the Wii U, but not with the NX. 2 consoles in a row, that might very well be enough to put Nintendo under. And I don't want to think about that. I don't want to see that happen at all. I don't think anyone does. The fans don't, and the industry doesn't, because that hurts business all around. You know, we may be angry and disappointed now by Nintendo's performance today, and we'll cool down eventually. I mean, we'll play some of these games for ourselves, and our opinions might change on them once we actually get to play with them. So it's not really the digital event that pisses me off that much when I think about it. It's really just that Nintendo indicated to me today that they just don't give a shit about the Wii U anymore. That worries me. I mean, if they don't give a shit about the Wii U, why should I care? What is there really any hope after Star Fox Zero and after Zelda U? Is Zelda U just going to be the Wii U's swan song, and that's not even probably coming out till like holiday of next year? It's just, I'm so worried now. So much of my faith is being destroyed for the NX. I'm losing so much faith that I could have potentially had in this new system. As of right now, I feel no reason to believe that Nintendo is going to fix this with the NX. And that's just, I don't want to think that way. I don't want to be one of those people, even though I'm clearly coming off as that, but that's just how bad Nintendo screwed up today. I mean, again, I don't want to sound all gloom and doom, but I can't defend what Nintendo did today. I will say it wasn't embarrassing at the very least, so it wasn't as bad as Nintendo E3 2008, but this just wasn't good. It really wasn't. They made so many mistakes, and they've got some serious consequences to face because of that. As a Nintendo fan, I feel I need to call them out on this bullshit. Nintendo, this isn't the 1980s and 90s anymore. Sega isn't your rival anymore. The industry has changed a lot over the years. You desperately need to adapt and change with the times. You've got to get some new blood in your company. Do something to remedy this situation, because this just isn't going to work anymore. E3 has only made me worry about your future. I don't want to see you go down. I want to support you, but you got to give me some real reason to support you. You got to start bringing the games that we want to see. You got to stop really essentially betraying your fans by giving us these games for franchise that we want, but games that we don't want to see. You got to stop like offending us in this way. It's not working. It's not going to work. I mean, you've got some serious damage control to do after E3 this year, Nintendo, and you better start fixing some of this stuff fast.